Rome, one candidate for prime minister in Italy's election next year says he'll slash taxes by €50 billion, £44.86 billion, and hike the budget deficit to pay for it. Another wants to bring back the lira Italy used until 2002, and then there are the populists. To most people, that label belongs to the anti-establishment five-star movement, which leads opinion polls ahead of the vote due to be held by May. But looking at the main party's economic plans, it is hard to judge who deserves it most. The economy is growing at its fastest clip since 2010, but politicians of all stripes say they will use the extra resources to cut taxes and spend more, rather than pay down the biggest debt burden in the Eurozone after Greece's. Italy was at the heart of the Eurozone debt crisis in 2011, and the election is seen the next source of potential instability in the currency bloc, especially if parties carry out the maverick policies they are proposing. The vow to chop up to €50 billion, $60 billion off income and corporate taxes and renege on Italy's commitment to balance its budget comes from the leader of the ruling Democratic Party, PD, former Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. He wants to hike the deficit from a targeted 2.1% of gross domestic product this year to 3% and then hold it at that level, and said this month he would bang his fists on the table in Brussels to get his way. The plan to print a new lira for domestic use while keeping the euro for international trade comes from centre-right leader and four-time Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, who says the scheme will boost consumer spending and economic growth. None of the main parties is campaigning on an economically orthodox platform of fiscal consolidation likely to please financial markets or the European Commission. Populism is thriving in Italy mainly because fiscal rigor prescribed by the EU is widely blamed for a deep double-dip recession between 2008 and 2013 from which the country is only gradually recovering. A survey commissioned by the European Parliament last month showed only 39% of Italians felt their country had benefited from EU membership, putting it bottom among the bloc's 28 nations. Policies considered responsible by Europe's political and economic mainstream are seen as vote losers in Italy, where five-star has often set the political agenda in recent years. Irresponsible promises. Luca Recalfi, a sociology professor at Turin University and prominent political commentator, said the election is likely to produce a hung parliament, and this meant politicians felt free to make promises they would probably never have to honor. As there are no reasonable parties at this election, Renzi can make irresponsible promises to try to win votes because the center-right and five-star are even more irresponsible, he said. Berlusconi himself has often been called populist since he entered politics in 1994, promising lower taxes for everyone, but now both he and Renzi are casting themselves as moderate leaders whose role is to halt the maverick five-star. The 81-year-old media tycoon's main coalition partner is Matteo Salvini, head of the anti-immigrant Northern League and an ally of French National Front leader Marine Le Pen and Geert Wilders of the right-wing Freedom Party in the Netherlands.